Usually it runs in the family.
In the family.
But none of my family has it.
Mm-hmm.
But my mom can have it because she's expressed anger. She's an angry person because bitter person too, because she had to raise us 4 kids, and I think. See, my sister suffers from mental illness too, but she doesn't take any pills or anything like that. She takes thyroid pills because most of her suffering is physical. And she's painfully thin. I'm kind of chubby. So
you might need it one day, I always tell people when they get unhappy about their weight, you never know when you need it. And there was actually a case I would like to share with you. There was a lady that she complained about her weight, and then they put her on Prozac. And somewhere along the line, anyway, to make her feel better, I said, you keep your weight, you might need it one day. And somewhere along the line, I'm not sure if the Prozac had built up in her system or she had just forgot she had taken it anyway. It just sort of stacked up on her. And she actually...
I know, it's extra padding. I find that I'm so much stronger now than I was before. But I can't run. That's the only thing I can't do because then I get spasms. I don't know if that's from kidneys or whatever, but I don't want to go into that.
Yeah.
We're delving on health, physical health instead of mental health, and I want to stay
with the mental health.
With the mental health,
yeah,
yes.
That's really great. So anyway, so schizophrenia is caused by an internal problem, and what had happened to me it was caused by some other circumstances. But you're doing pretty good right now, huh?
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know if it's the medication or not, but I haven't been sleeping very well.
Nobody's been sleeping very well. We have some planets out there.
Oh, that's right.
It's just in a really strange place, and I have explained it to you.
I took a nap
Yeah.
before I came into the studio,
Yeah.
and I slept.
Yeah.
And I needed to sleep. But I'm a night person, see.
So am I.
And sometimes I stay awake at night, which throws my equilibrium off during the day. But I'm taking, my medication consists of 50 milligrams of Prolixin shots that I take, plus 5 milligrams of Prolixin shots. Then they gave me some, not Thorazine. It starts with a T, but I can't
don't know.
remember.
I'm familiar with Thorazine, and
yeah, I used to take Thorazine.
Then you probably wouldn't have been able to come here today.
If I had Thorazine, no, it's a strong drug.
Yeah.
I was on Mellaril. Did I almost take Artane one time, and it gave me a cramp in my arm.
Oh my.
And so I'm allergic to that. So I've had some reactions. Haldol is one of the first ones that they give everybody when they first get sick in mental illness, when they have a mental illness. And I started to do the shuffle. And I remember they said, I didn't want to take it at first. I go, well, do you want a shot instead? And I said, no. So now I'm taking shots. And I used to be afraid of them, but I welcome them now. And I'm hardly bleeding from those shots, so that I'm getting healthier.
Yeah.
The more I exercise.
Yeah, and see, at the point now...
That lifts depression.
Yeah. So you're at the point now where you can do almost everything for yourself?
Pretty much. I wish I had a car right now, but I have to study the test. And I'm a pretty good driver, except that one time I got into an accident because it was a bad accident too. And this happened in California. And I was going to work. This is before I became sick. And I was on a left-hand lane, and then a car came by, and I went into the right-hand lane, and then I sideswiped him. And it was a 1966 vintage Mercedes-Benz.
Oh, not good, not good, not good. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I understand you're gonna go on a trip this summer. You said you're going to California?
I was thinking about visiting my son and my mom and stuff like that. But I think that, I'm going to go back to school to become an interpreter. And
yeah, that's right. You speak
I speak Spanish.
Spanish.
And I might be moving to Eastern Washington where they need Spanish interpreters there more than they do here. So,
Now, we did not discuss this part. This was just a thought that I had. Now, I have, there's a difference between an illness and a condition in my mind. And an illness to me is like if I get the flu or I wake up with a cold or something. And a condition to me is something that's there regardless. And I have good days and I have bad days. And I know that. And then I can just adjust what I want to do according to what kind of day am I having. Is your illness similar to that?
oh yes. Sometimes I wake up groggy. Sometimes, see, I hear voices, and they're frightening. I don't know what they are. I just hear them, and depending on the mood of the day, sometimes when I go visit my counselor, they're good. But on times where I'm not doing nothing, and I start thinking, then the voices come back and they become real terrible. They even threaten my life, and it becomes real scary. And so I've learned to ignore them. And with the help of my counselors, telling them about my voices, they want to know what they're saying. And then after that, they just say to ignore them.
So they really, in your case, it's really working for you. They're really helping you.
Oh, yes. St. Peter's.
Now, suppose what would you tell a person to watch for if somebody in the family got sick and didn't realize it? What do you watch for?
Erratic behavior.
Well, everybody I know has erratic behavior. That's pretty normal.
Well, when they start pacing.
Pacing.
Yeah, when they start pacing. That's what I did a lot. I did a lot of pacing. That's a good indication of somebody getting struck with mental illness. Other things that may happen are loud. See, mostly mental illness comes about, and it's like you're in a manic phase when you're in a manic depressive, and but sometimes they rule that out. Like for instance, in my case, I was more scared. So they labeled me schizophrenia, paranoid schizophrenia, because paranoid, of course, means scared.
Scared, yeah.
And schizophrenia means change. And manic depressive people have highs and lows. So I was having some highs and lows. And I believe that there are more manic depressives than there are paranoid schizophrenias because of that. And another thing to watch out for, I think, is the highs and lows. Because, and solitude. Solitude is very bad.
If a person spends too much time with
They're alone.
themselves. And even in small children, you know.
Small children, too, if they spend lots of times alone. Like these latchkey kids, I feel so sorry for them.
Yeah.
Because my son was a latchkey kid, but he's not sick. He was very independent. And he was just like me when I was growing up. Had lots of friends, danced a lot. And now he's unemployed because he had some jail time and stuff like that. But when I got sick, that's when he started acting out. And I couldn't be with him.
He was probably scared.
Yeah, he was scared. He was scared of being in jail. I remember one time he would have been sent home to visit me, but I couldn't take him because I was in a placement home.
Yeah.
And they don't allow children there. Not even, and some of my roommates didn't even want him to visit. And I was really mad at that.
Well, here again, it just affects the whole family. You know, what one person has something, it just affects the whole family. And then now I asked some of the other friends too, the ADD kids, the kids that run all over the place. And like
Oh,
when you
my
came to
son.
we had a little problem at my house the other day.
Oh, that's right.
And then they put him on Ritalin. Do you think that's not a good thing? The reason I thought about it is when we talked about pacing, some of the kids can sit still, and so.
My son took Ritalin when he was in this Del Mar back in California, and it helped a lot.
It did help him.
It did help him a lot. In fact, he calmed down a lot, and he suffered no side effects from it. But I think any medication is bad for you because it harms your immune system. But I'm not a doctor, so I can't really say that for sure. Although some of the medication did affect my immune system, but this medication that I'm taking now, you know what? I haven't had a cold this winter,
Nothing, yeah.
and so I know the medication is working for me.
Yeah, you always want to go. I see you walking and riding a bike, and I'm hanging around my house and thinking, gee, now where's she going? Because you're just so active,
I try to be. I try to go out to eat. I try to go to the library and read some books because I hate sitting down and watching TV because I get so anxious. I always like to be on the go. But I know sometimes I wish I lived in New York City because that's a 24-hour city.
Yeah, you could just go from one place to the other.
I know, but it's so expensive to live there, so I decided to stay in Washington because I love the rain, I love the cold, and I love the snow.
Well, that's a good thing because you get on the bus every day.
Yes.
And that's a long wait, in the weather that we have.
Oh, yes. I make sure that I'm bundled up warm.
Yeah, and according to yourself, you've just come a long way. So you can do just about anything. In fact, you're thinking about going back to work?
Yes. But see, when I first came to Washington, I hitchhiked up here. But before, I stopped off and I went to jail because I went to jail because I was delusional. I wasn't on any medication. I thought that I was on a mission, right? And I thought that people were going to leave cars for me. So this car was open and I was rummaging through the car, and the owner of the car came back and said, "This is my car, what are you doing?" I said, "Well, please, miss, don't press charges. This was a mistake." But she called the police anyway, and I was arrested, and I spent some time in jail, but not long. They let me go. And then when I first went to Olympia, I waited a long time in Kelso for a ride. But I finally got a ride, and I went up to Olympia and walked the streets just angry because nobody would help me, and I didn't know where to go. So anyways, I'm looking for a job right now, but to come back to when I first hitchhiked to Washington, I robbed a Denny's because I was so hungry. I wanted money, but I could have asked for food from the restaurant instead of took the money. I wasn't thinking right. I was without money for so long, I wanted to buy what I wanted to eat. I didn't want to necessarily eat at Denny's. I just wanted to rob the place, And they put me in jail for, this has happened in 1994. As a matter of fact, these 2 pennies that I have here remind me of being in 1990. These were given to me by a teenager that spent the night with me because he didn't have any place to go, and I wanted to help him out. So we watched videos and stuff like that, and I asked him about this, and he said, "Well, this is 1994," and so I said, "Oh, can I have it?" Because it brought me luck when I came here. Okay, I met friends that were not backstabbers, like the friends that I had at my paralegal job and stuff like that. See, I was into drugs too. and I almost died from a cocaine overdose. As a matter of fact, they weren't going to give me my SSI because they thought that I was a drug addict.